Alright, let's start him up.
Please remember to start.
Start something like great. Maybe he checks himself. Let's see. Nope. Alright, let's put him in neutral.
He stinks.
You're gonna get in. And then use the front brake, take the parking brake off. Stop. Then I'll take the torque strap off.
Oh, and then what?
So basically just roll back until you get a straight shot at the garage, and then just stop, and then I'll start pushing. Hey everyone, welcome back to Pine Hollow Auto Diagnostics. Nissan Rogue, it's transmission swap time. Here's the new unit, straight from the dealership. They said it was a reman by Nissan. So, as we can see, straight out of the box, it's already not going to work. There's a little shipping damage here. This aluminum line on the cooler is freaking smashed in and pinched shut. So yeah, that's kind of disappointing. I just called up the dealership. They say it's not available separately. They're either going to ship me another new transmission or get one in and swap this part out. I don't know. All I know is I gotta get the old one out right now. So that's what we're gonna do. We'll start up top here, clear some space, and I don't know, hope you guys enjoy the process. Alright, let's get to it. Let's get this battery out of here first. I liked how in the last video a lot of people mentioned, I haven't even want to see transmission swap videos. Like, maybe nuts and bolt stuff isn't that boring after all. But, I guess the only part is that I might not be too good at is constant entertainment. I know Eric O, he just tells stories, as he goes along, and it's just fun to listen to. So I'll have to come up with some stories of my own. But this, so far it's all nuts and bolts, really. So batteries out of the way, let's get this plastic contraption out of here. It's just a whole bunch of little clips that may or may not break. 1, 2, 3. Uh-oh. You can already hear pieces falling As far as big jobs like this go, as you know, I don't have a big lift or that much room in my shop, but I have done a few transmission swaps, a couple engine swaps, on light cars like Subarus. Those engines are pretty easy to do. I have this hoist rigged up on the ceiling, and you just use a manual winch to lift engines up. It's really not that big of a pain. As far as transmission jobs, I've replaced clutches on a few vehicles, especially all-wheel drive vehicles. Again, Subaru, Audi Quattro. I've done a Saab. Those are all, not too bad. But this thing, at least it's an SUV, so you don't have to lift it up too high to get under it. Let's see, get this plastic thingamajig unhooked. There you go. It's kind of satisfying to clear room as you go. You just kind of see stuff appear. So the transmission is hiding under this battery tray. Here is the PCM, and here is the transmission control module. So I guess we'll have to get those out of the way. Now this is an all-wheel drive model, so we'll have a little more work to do with the transfer case. We have to remove the both drive shafts and the whole cross member under here. So that whole piece needs to come off to let the transmission clear. So again, it's a 10-hour job. I won't tape the whole process, but definitely most of the interesting parts. So maybe I'll just clear a little room here and we'll see what the transmission looks like and go from there. So I do want to remove this whole air box, since it doesn't look too hard, and the more room you have, the easier and less frustrating it is to do the job. I've learned that over the years. You think you're taking a little shortcut, but in reality you're just making more of a headache for yourself. So I don't really know what's holding this whole thing down. Yeah, there's something else down there. So I think this battery tray needs to come out first. There's just 4. Oh, apparently they're not 12s. Does Nissan use 13s? Apparently. I'm actually kind of surprised. I know Toyota only uses 10, 12, and 14. Okay, so this whole contraption seems to want to come up, but there's these like huge wiring looms in the way everywhere. Look how thick that is. Wow. That's a lot of wire. Now I don't know if I need to unhook the PCM or just kind of detach it, let it flop out of the way. Get these guys out of here. And we're going to stay organized so we don't forget any nuts and bolts. Okay, so that looks like It all wants to come off as one unit. So let me undo a few clips here and we'll keep trucking. So it looks like path of least resistance is to have all this harness and modules and stuff stay in place while the battery tray comes out. And they sure didn't skimp on using these little harness, holders to hold it to the battery tray. So we're gonna have to get each and every one of them detached. Oh, come on. This is the nitty-gritty details. It's kind of like preliminary work. I'm doing a little homework. Gotta do the boring stuff to get to the fun stuff, right? Okay, there's the negative cable. There's that guy. There's that guy. And last but not least, probably definitely not last, that guy. Okay. And let's see, does the PCM want to come off together or separate? We can just unbolt it from the bracket, it looks like. So you see the transmission control module. I think the easiest thing to do is just unplug it, if we can figure out how this connector works. Let's see. It looks like a little tab. Like that. Okay, cool. So now it's just the PCM holding us back. And again, let's see. Do we unbolt the PCM or undo these connectors here? I guess we can unplug it. There's one. Now this car, it has actually impressed me with its reliability up till now. And my wife and I, we kept joking because, these Nissans are kind of notorious for the transmissions failing. I'm like, you have to set up a CVT fund because it's going to fail. And she was like, ha ha ha, that's funny. And I'm like, well, it's been super reliable and it's got to 180,000 miles, so maybe this is a really good transmission. And then, just when you least expect it, boom, it died. So, gathering from the comments that you guys left, apparently 186,000 miles is like one of the records for these Jatco CVT transmissions. And I guess that's not bad, right? Let's see here. We just got one more clippy holding us back. Down here. Keep track of where the camera is. So right down here. Boom. Alright, we're free. Got the PCM and the TCM attached to this huge battery tray. This thing, I don't know where that went. We're just going to throw it out. Not important. Ground wires don't last very long in the Northeast. Especially those braided wire straps. Oh, there's the other end of it. It was just attached to the body. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're in pretty good shape. So like I said, now we'll go for the airbox. Get that out of the way, and then this huge engine mount or transmission mount thing. It's always fun trying to set up the tripod on the surface of the vehicle. It's kind of like, there you go. So this guy's held down over here, 10 millimeter. There's something else holding this thing on. I don't know. Okay, so that's mostly free. We loosen up this clamp. That should come off. This guy is held. Oh, there's a hose right there. Okay. Oh man, they really don't give you that much room here under the cowl. Let's unplug our mass airflow before we forget. You guys even see that? I'm actually using a newer camera, and it has this like wide lens. I bought it about half a year ago because on one of my trips to Staten Island to visit Keith, I actually forgot my camera, and you can't go to Staten Island without a camera, as you know. So I stopped by a Best Buy on the way and just got one. It was like, you know, $300 for the Sony. See, this one is a, oh, what do we have here? CX, what the heck is this thing? CX405. And my old one is a CX230. So I don't know if it's an upgrade or it's just a newer model. Hopefully that picture quality is decent. Let's see, we got all kinds of clips on here. They, like I said, they really went all out with the clips. So I don't know if we can lift this out or not. Oh, hose assembly out of the way. Uh-oh. I want to break the white screw here. Okay. It's like, jeez. We're still held back by two clips here. Get that guy right there. Undo him. This pair of needle nose pliers is one of my favorite tools. I got these at Napa a couple years ago, and they're still kicking. So they do make decent tools. I think it's the Carlisle brand. You go to Harbor Freight and look at these, and they're all like, tips are crooked and they don't really line up. You just don't feel good using some of their tools. But this thing, whoo, finally got that out. Now we're getting somewhere. Look at all this room. Yep. Can you see where the transmission mates up? You can see the transfer case right back here. And there's where the transmission meets the engine. There's the shift cable, shift linkage. So we're gonna have to undo all this stuff. Keep digging down until we get to our prize. So I just got a call back from the Nissan dealership. They're sending me another transmission. I think that's pretty silly. Why doesn't Nissan sell, this like cooler unit separately? I don't think they sell anything separately. What about this, transmission switch? Why don't they sell parts for this thing separately? I don't know, but they say they're gonna get me one tomorrow morning. So by that time, hopefully I'll have this one out. Where we are right now, I put little plastic baggies over the connectors for the modules, just to make sure nothing gets in there, messes them up. Let's take a couple of these brackets off. And this guy right here. And this guy right here. Okay, cool. So all these bolts are the same. Well, they're not the same. So there you go. There it goes there. And these two are the same. We'll put them in the bag. So now it looks like the harness is movable, and get that out of the way, at least far enough to work around it. Now this looks like one huge mount contraption. Nissan likes these extreme engine mounts. Like this whole bracket here probably weighs, I don't know, 20 pounds. But we're not touching this side. We're just worried about this side. So I guess we're pretty much done with our preliminary work up here. And we'll go down, start unplugging connectors. And I want to drain this fluid. Now, I know a lot of people asked on the initial video, Ivan, did you change the fluid? What was the maintenance like on this thing? Well, I'll be honest. I've always checked the fluid level, and the color always seemed decent. I mean, towards the end there, it was getting a little brown, but not like black or burned. It smelled fine, and there's a quality monitor on the scanner in the transmission control module. You can get into that and just look at the numbers, and those were still, it said it was only like 2/3 used when it broke. So I guess a fluid change wouldn't have hurt. How about that? Put it that way. But again, I'm not sure this failure is due to poor fluid, because it just bam, it just quit. Well, we'll see. We'll drain it, see if there's any metal shavings in there. Maybe it was just some other type of failure, some seal. So I guess we'll find out. So I guess one more thing we can do while we're up here, unplug the transmission range switch, this green plug right here. I got that unplugged, and then remove our actual shift cable. So it looks like there's one pinch nut there. We'll get that out of the way and put the nut right back on so we don't lose it. There we go. And then there's a bracket holding it on down here. It's a little rusted in. My little impact doesn't want to grab it. You can just use a regular old ratchet. Crack those bolts loose. And this guy right here. Okay, there we go. Buzz these guys out. Let's see, it's one. This guy right down here. Sweet. Now our shift cable is safely out of the way. looking pretty good. I want to make sure this plug stays safe when we tear this transmission out of here. Now the coolant lines. So this transmission, I read up a little bit on it, is they have engine coolant running through this piece down here, that silver piece, where the elbow got smashed on the new one. So it actually helps the transmission warm up. So when you start the engine, the coolant warms up pretty quickly, and that helps the CVT fluid to warm up. And then as the transmission heats up, the temperature stabilize, and it helps the transmission cool down. So it's kind of a heat exchanger both ways to keep the CVT temperature happy. So I guess we'll just we can even unhook those lines and kind of loop it around so we don't lose too much coolant. Again, I'm not doing a coolant flush because it's still nice and fresh in there. But yeah. So what I want to do with these cooler lines is to unhook the line right here, unhook the line right here, and then just loop this one and hook it to here. So it'll be kind of a closed loop, and we can do all of our work without the coolant dripping out. And I have a couple lines pinched off so we don't create a waterfall when we undo those lines. So right here is the line from the reservoir. Radiator cap is closed, and then that guy right there is pinched off, and this hose up here is pinched off. So let me do that real quick. Alright, here we go. We'll undo this guy right here first. One clamp. Two clamps. Let's see if these hoses will cooperate. And break the seal. Try to give it a little twist. There we go. Not bad at all. So that one will slide right off. And then this guy, right on the cooler itself. A little twist. Here it goes. It should slide right off. So all I want to do is not too bad, and just hook it right back onto there. Release the clamp. Perfect. I think I lost like 3 drops. And we'll just slide this little clamp back on. Sweet. Now, should be good to go. We can even pivot that hose down, drain some coolant, but we'll do that a little later. Obviously the instructions tell you to drain the whole cooling system, but we're not going to mess with that. Alright, looks pretty good. Yeah, I guess we can start working from the bottom, unless we want to detach that pipe from up here. There's pretty decent access. And we'll detach it from the cooler right there, so we don't damage any of this stuff. It looks like there's like a one-way valve here, so we don't want to. We don't want that on there when we lower the transmission. A couple more things that we can do while we're here up top is get the dipstick out of the way. Now, I want to see if this transmission fluid level is actually higher than the high mark. That would prove that the pump is not picking it up, and there's a problem with the pump. So let's see, get it in all the way, take it out, and indeed our fluid level, see there's the high mark, that's where it usually is when I've checked at every oil change, and now it's up here by this bend. So it did rise a bit, and as you can see, you know, it's not like terribly brown color. It's I mean, that just smells like transmission fluid. Nothing burned or black like in the MPV. That thing has been slipping for a while. So dipstick comes out. There's two 10mm bolts. We grab our little air ratchet. Let's see, reverse. We can sneak in here, buzz these guys out. There's one, easy enough. And then the second one is right down here. There goes my socket. Right into the coolant pan. How did that happen? Just stay locked on there. Jeez. That's two. This dipstick should pull clean out of here. Sweet. And this obviously does not come with a new transmission, so we have to be careful not to damage anything here. There's the O-ring. Not too crusty. And usually, you know, the two bolts, I'll just keep them with the dipstick right in there. We'll put this in the trunk so we don't lose them. Next step is to get this lower wiring harness unclipped and out of the way. Let's see, there's the main plug that we undid last time for diagnostic purposes. If I remember, that just unscrews and, let's see, I think it clicks and then you can pop it out. Let's see here. Okay, there we go. That's out. And now there's a speed sensor right here under the cooler. That unplugs pretty easily. And there's a couple of push pin retainers that should just slide right out. There's one. There's two. And there's one on the side here. That one's being a little stubborn. And see, there's one more up there. Basically, you know, the wiring harness is... Oh, there's actually three more going up the side. I'll show you guys. Right there. One, two, three. So I'll pop these off. Our wiring harness should be loose. And then there's another speed sensor. I guess the primary speed sensor. It's hiding back here. That's for the input shafts, I guess. So when these two sensors don't agree to the commanded gear ratio, we get that code that we saw. Yeah, there's that plug. I think we're in pretty good shape. And then we'll get the car up on jack stands. So using my favorite claw, those retainers came out pretty easy. Now we can fish this whole harness up and out through here. Let's see if it'll be friendly. We want this safely out of the way. Again, we can put little baggies around the connectors just for peace of mind. So definitely for jobs like this, just buy a couple assorted sizes of sandwich bags with the slider zipper, and then you'll be all set to organize all your bolts and all miscellaneous bits. No problems at all. Alrighty, so now it looks like we're pretty good here. We can still see the ground cables hooked up, but we'll take the wheel off and get that from the bottom. And otherwise, I think we're pretty good up here. Now it's going to be the grunt work down below. Disconnecting drive shafts, the transfer case, the front drive axles, and I don't know, taking this huge cross member off. So I guess we'll be back for part 2. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next part.